And now, it's time for a Star Trek story. Welcome to episode 3 of Star Trek Stories. I am, as always, Jaron Hatch, and I am joined here by my lovely co-host, Aaron Cole. Hello, Aaron.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
I feel lovely.
You should feel lovely.
Nice.
Episode 3, here we are.
Here we go.
Yeah.
The conclusion of our little mini beginning of Star Trek saga here.
Yeah, absolutely. This does feel like end of a little bit of a mini trilogy to kick the show off already. I mean, you can't see it since you can only hear us, but it does feel a little more official this time, doesn't it?
We're getting real. That's what it is.
If you're coming on for the first time with us, Aaron and I have just watched the first 2 pilots. So we're kind of looking at, and these are like the original pilots, the 1964 pilot, the 1965 pilot, the 2 prototype episodes they did to try to get the show going.
Yeah, so if you want to catch up on all that, go check out our first 2 episodes.
Yep.
And now, this week, we're watching the first episode that showed up on TV.
So you have that to look forward to. As we're getting this ball rolling, please give us your feedback. Let us know in the comments what you like, what you don't like, if this is working.
Ideas. Your Star Trek stories. Really, we are doing this because we want to hear all the Star Trek stories beyond the episodes. We want to see new perspectives on the show that we've never seen before. Because Star Trek has permeated so much of our lives. I feel like it can get stale. I don't know. So it's nice to have that fresh take. And Star Trek is such a ubiquitous, timeless thing that I'm sure people have a lot to say. It's a very opinionated fan base.
Yeah, well, speaking of people who have things to say, we have our very first guest host, a very good friend of both of ours, Tyson Baker. Hello, Tyson.
Hi, guys.
Woo!
Pleasure to be here, guys. A pleasure to be here. Jaron and Aaron are sunning on a couch, and I'm sitting in the captain's chair, and that's how they treat their guests, and I am privileged to be in this captain's chair.
He actually does have the command sequence to self-destruct the entire show. He's absolutely got that control panel ready.
He's in the captain's chair. Tyson, so let's start with a little bit of our personal connection. Aaron and I have already talked a little bit about where we are coming from. But we have mentioned that we used to all live together.
Yeah. The base story of that is we all met in college in doing theater and found out quickly that we had this connection of Star Trek. We shared experiences watching the episodes and talking about Star Trek and how much it affected our lives and each in their own regards. It
was basically like an unofficial frat house of artists.
Yes.
Very bohemian, very...
Oh yeah, very bohemian.
Stinky.
Yes.
Very sticky.
Sticky and stinky, full of dude smells. Young adults trying to just figure it out.
Yeah.
And Star Trek was one of those things that just brought us all together.
Well, we all watched it all the time, but Aaron and I definitely it started earlier for us, and it started earlier for you as well. You have your own little personal story with Star Trek before we even all lived together.
My grandfather and I, whenever I would go visit my grandparents on my dad's side, my grandpa liked to watch TV, and half the time would be watching Next Generation. And I was a 12, 13-year-old kid, maybe even younger, and it was just exciting. It was very exciting. Just the opening credits of Next Generation and the Enterprise D going into warp drive. The most epic thing. And I felt like I graduated beyond that. My mom signed me up for a space camp when I was in 6th grade down in Pleasant Grove, Utah. The space camp, it's similar to astronaut camp or whatever that's based off of NASA, but this space camp took the Star Trek universe and made it your situation. And so they would assign kids to play the captain and play the second officer and security officer and engineer. You got put in the middle of these situations where you have to weigh out moral consequence. It made it very pertinent to me and my imagination because it was such a hit with these kids. Because I think there were a lot of kids who went to this camp and were like, oh, I feel purpose. I feel emboldened. And it made you kind of think about the stars and think about other problems outside of where we grew up in Utah. Ultimately, like you kind of had this escape, but also there was a great deal of meaning in it. It's persisted throughout my life.
I remember, this is one of my favorite stories with you, Tyson, is we planned this little event for ourselves. We did it over a weekend or something. I can't remember.
I think it was 2 or 3 days.
We would watch an episode of the original show, then we did a Next Gen, then a Deep Space, then a Voyager, then an Enterprise, then circle back around, and we kind of did this 9 times.
Yep. It was a deep delve.
And then there was it was Saturday morning or whatever, we woke up and a big group of us went to space camp. I remember I got to be the captain and I was the last one who got to come on. And I still was we were in this elementary school, but then it was basically going through the wardrobe in Narnia, but into the Star Trek world.
That's exactly what it was like, Jaron.
Oh,
as a kid, you experienced that. I had to have my friends to experience it with me. We love Disneyland here, and I feel like they were trying to create this experience where you were just immersed.
Star Trek Disneyland.
Yes, yeah. Star Trek Disneyland. People have said, I've heard from people who who have been to the Chris McCall Space Education Center, or a derivative of it, is it's better than Disneyland because you aren't just riding the ride, you are a part of the ride.
It's much more immersive.
You have to make choices.
Yeah, and getting to be the captain and everything, I remember we were all kind of joking about it beforehand. It was almost like we were coming in with this attitude of watching a Mystery Science Theater 3000, where we're just gonna it's gonna be silly and stupid and we're just gonna make jokes. But when we were in it doing it, it was a switch flipped and everyone was taking it so seriously, and there was music playing, you would hear explosions, our ship was being boarded by aliens, the sun was about to explode, we may have accidentally sold some people into slavery. But they were gonna die. That was our only chance to get them off of there, was we had to sell them in slavery. Yeesh. We promised though that we at the Federation would most certainly look into it.
It just made it so pertinent. That's what I will say. You get assigned positions. Here's your mission. You have to go, and there's this star that's going supernova, and there's a planet right next to this star where it has a billion people on it, and you have to figure out how to save these people. The teacher, Victor Williamson, came up with this idea in the 1990s, early 1990s. And all he had was an overhead projector, and he would give the kids in his classroom, he was a 6th grade teacher, he would give his kids these paper controls. And whenever they used a certain button, they would have to cross it out. And he would draw pictures of starships on the overhead and put it up there. And I think people latched onto that idea of oh, I see what you're trying to do here. So he got grants from the school district to take this space in their school, a classroom, or I think it was a storage room actually, and turn it into this 2-story deck of the USS Voyager, is what they call their ship. And I don't know, man, there was something magical about that place. Oh man,
it's full of heart. Certainly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
so much love.
Yeah.
One of the things I think that's going to be fun having you on the show is because you, like Aaron just said, it's so full of heart. And I think that's where you come at things with this heart on your sleeve kind of a thing. And just because you've had this actually physical childhood experience with something like this, it's this imagination become reality thing.
Yes.
And I think that's a fun perspective to have.
That's the thing, the term I latched on to when I was at that. They used imagination so much in their mission statement, and it ultimately is about your imagination and how far can you stretch your imagination.
Well, we're about to see how far the writers and cast and crew of the 1960s show, how far they took their imagination with this very first episode that ever aired, The Man Trap. That's what we're going to be watching here today.
And see how far we can stretch our suspension of disbelief.
Oh, geez. Yeah, so today we're watching The Man Trap, first episode that ever aired back in 1966. This is what they decided to premiere the show with. This was actually the 6th episode they produced, like we said. As we go into this one, have in mind this question of how does this work as a first episode? How does this work as a story to get people into something? both like as Star Trek and maybe generally as like a television show.
Right. You gotta look at it for what it is. It's very dated from the 60s.
Yes, and that's the thing I think, Aaron, is like it is the 60s. Like I feel like our most pertinent thing is like we watched the first episode. Excuse me, we watched the first episode of Stranger Things. It's like people know how to like hook you in, but back in those days, like everybody kind of was excited about the Apollo program and like the space aspect of where humans were going. And I think that's kind of the thing that Gene Roddenberry kind of leaped onto, along with like Buck Rogers and kind of these pulp ideas of space, and how that portrayed to that an audience in that time. You know, I think it's important to remember the context of the 1960s. Ultimately, you really have to think about Star Trek along with all its kitschiness and its datedness. You know what I mean? There's something quintessential in what they're trying to convey.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think we talked a bit about that in the first episode, about how his vision was so fleshed out already. Even in that first episode, you can see that future that he had in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Crystal clear, like Tolkien level world building, even. Right?
Totally.
Like you don't see all of that on the screen, but you see the potential there.
Just the details. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if you're listening at home, we're going to invite you right now to go queue up this episode. You can find it on Paramount Plus. I think it's the second episode. If you bring up Star Trek, the original series, I do think they list the Cage first.
As episode 0, yeah.
As episode 0.
Is that Pike?
That's the Captain Pike pilot, yeah. And then right after that, they just have this as the Man Trap. So it should be episode 2 of Star Trek, the original series on Paramount Plus. Go ahead and queue it up. And right now, I'm going to go ahead and set up a little bit of context for you, just to kind of set the stage in your head. Just kind of imagine this. Have this going through your head as you start this episode. So imagine it's Thursday, September 8th, 1966, 8:30 p.m. LBJ is currently the President of the United States. The Civil Rights Act is only a couple of years old at this point. The Vietnam War is raging, but hasn't hit the breaking point yet. The biggest movie of the summer has been Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? You Can't Hurry Love by the Supremes is on its way to topping the Billboard charts. The biggest shows on TV right now are Bonanza, Gomer Pyle, The Lucy Show, Red Skelton,
Oh, yeah.
and
Skelton.
Batman, starring Adam West.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Really
We'll have to
just
start another podcast
on Batman.
What a glorious time for TV.
Yep.
Twilight Zone and Outer Limits have ended their runs by this point, and the only real sci-fi game in town is the family-friendly Lost in Space, which we mentioned on like the first one. You've just finished watching an episode of Daniel Boone on NBC, and now you see a promo for this new show debuting now called Star Trek. Curious about this new show? You turn out the lights, snuggle up with a pillow, and watch as your brand new color TV lights up with a mighty starship orbiting a mysterious planet.
Uhura, your last subspace log contained an error in the frequencies column.
Mr. Spock, sometimes I think if I hear that word frequency once more, I'll cry.
Cry.
I was just trying to start a conversation.
Well, since it is illogical for a communications officer to resent the word frequency, I have no answer.
No, you have an answer. I'm an illogical woman who's beginning to feel too much a part of that communications console. Why don't you tell me I'm an attractive young lady? Or ask me if I've ever been in love? Tell me how your planet Vulcan looks on a lazy evening when the moon is full.
Vulcan has no moon, Miss Uhura.
I'm not surprised, Mr. Spock.
We're back. We just watched an episode of Star Trek,
Holy cow.
The Man Trap. Let's get into some initial thoughts. Tyson, it's the man in the captain's chair. What did you think of The Man Trap?
It starts out right in the middle of a mission, and they instantly dip into the relationship. They set up these main characters, and it's just almost instantly just you care about the relationships of these people. Like in the captain's log, they give you enough context of what's going on. It's space, and everybody's like, "Oh, cool! It's space." You see the Enterprise flying over a planet, and then it dives into the crew dynamics of like Kirk is issuing orders. Some people have oppositions, but he's just like, "Go do it," and you're kind of thrown into the story.
There's so much they throw at you real quick.
Yes.
Aaron, yeah.
I thought it was a very strong episode. It's a lot better than I remember it the last time I watched it years ago, whenever that was. To me, it felt like a beautiful hybrid of the first two pilots. Like there's a few similarities of the main antagonist and the original Pike pilot. There's a lot of that space western that you see in the second pilot.
This even feels more Western, just checking up on people out in the frontier.
Right.
What's going on? Do you need anything? And then they stumble into something.
Was McCoy in the second episode when Shatner showed up?
No.
That's just some.
See, and that's the introduction of McCoy. And DeForest Kelly has this past with Western movies. And I don't know how much the writers were thinking about that, but also the 1960s were this era of like, we love Westerns. We love like the lone hero. We love these kind of like aspects of that culture.
And McCoy, in a lot of ways, is the missing piece
Yes.
from the first two attempts at the show. Like the way he just fits into the show, just his performance. It's like, yeah, that's who would be aboard the Enterprise, is that guy.
Mm-hmm. I think specifically the thing I walk away with, like, it's the production values. Now, granted, do they hold up to nowadays? No. Those ruined sets looks like they'll just fall over if you just, lean on them
Foam
too
core.
much.
Boop them.
But you can tell they're doing the best they can. It doesn't come across as being unprofessional. I think it's very much the opposite. Like you can tell like hardcore arts and crafts filmmakers are doing their best to make this show a thing, and like they want you to buy it.
Right, and we're watching it in HD, which nobody had access to at the time. Like I'm sure it looked a lot better on a fuzzy screen coming through on an actual television signal.
Oh yeah,
like the quality they relied a lot.
Hides a lot of sins.
Certainly,
it's fun though to watch now in the HD though. Like it does give you more of a sense of like the filmmaking craft that goes into it, which is fun. Like. But from an academic point of view to some degree, but even just like the presentation, like this one is much more colorful than the first two, and they really play a lot. Like there's so many colors jumping at you in every scene because Kirk's wearing this mustard gold shirt, Spock and McCoy are wearing these blue shirts. Yeah. The planet is very like dust colored. It just feels hot and dusty, like the little detail they do with William Shatner's like sweat beads and then all like the dramatic shadows and lighting on the Enterprise. Everything that just really plays up, it's very heightened drama. That's the thing that stands out to me the most when I watch this. I'm like, that's what comes across the most to me. Yeah. Certainly compared to the first two.
Lots of jewel tones. Yeah, very dramatic shadows and lighting throughout the episode.
It's exotic.
Camera angles.
Yes.
Really exotic camera angles.
So basically what the story is, I mean, you just watched it with us. So it's basically the story where they find a creature on a planet that needs salt to live, and it can shapeshift to look like anyone, maybe some kind of telepathic abilities, like it can kind of read thoughts and just be what you want it to be. It's essentially a monster movie, especially compared to the last two, where Star Trek does genre hopping. Like this, compared to the first two, this is a monster movie. How do you guys think this works especially with the context we set up, how does this work as the very first episode? Does this work? Could it work better? Should they have picked a different one? What do we think, Aaron?
No, I think it's a great first jump into the series. I was thinking all the way through, like, man, this is so much better than I remember it being. Like, I remember the first time I was watching it, it's like kind of corny, it's a little whatever, maybe I just wasn't quite buying into the 60s vibe of it, but this time around I'm like, yes, this is a good science fiction story. It's got great character development all the way through, it's engaging, it's intense. Everything you look for in a good TV show, you get it right there in that first episode. It's like, yeah, I would keep watching this. Hell yeah.
What was I'm sorry, like what was the first pilot about? What was the synopsis of
The Cage
with William Shatner, I should say, not the first pilot.
Yeah, so the first
Cage is with Pike, right?
Pike, the Telosians, like he's in the menagerie, the zoo,
right,
and like all the illusions that he goes and lives through. And then the second pilot is appropriately titled "Where No Man Has Gone Before." That's the one where they try to probe outside of the galaxy and they hit this energy field and it ends up like shocking some of the crew members and giving them like psionic powers. And like Kirk's like best friend is one of them and he basically becomes like a god being and eventually Kirk and the crew have to like destroy him.
Fascinating.
And then we have this.
Yes.
Again, this is not the third episode they made. This is 6.
What happened to the other 2? Do you know?
What do you mean?
Like
the other episodes?
Yeah.
So they had to have a decision about what they were going to air first.
So were there episodes that were not aired that didn't make the cut?
Yeah, I don't think Pike's episode ever got televised, right? Like
Pike's episode
much later.
Yeah, it doesn't get aired until I think the first time it actually hits the airways is like the 1980s. But they sneak it into one of that 2-part episode of the original series where Captain Kirk and crew are looking back at the events of that episode. Gotcha. They sneak it into the actual show. Where No Man Has Gone Before was aired third. Was not aired first. It was aired third. They were worried that episode was too expositional to be a good first episode. And I remember even you said you weren't as engaged by that one compared to the first one. And then there were some other ones they considered. But they decided on this one just because it was like the most basic. Like it wasn't a super high concept, right. And it kind of gave you just a sense of, especially the space western motif, and then all the crew members, like they kind of got a sense of just to set up the crew and everything, and so they decided to go with this one. Though funny enough, this was the one I believe the cast was least proud of at the time, and they did not want this to air first, but this is what the executives decided to air first.
I found it fascinating too. Toast to Nichelle Nichols. My goodness, what a beautiful woman Nichelle Nichols was.
We should put in for context. We are watching this episode on the day Nichelle Nichols died, and it was just announced today.
Right, I got that notification.
And I mean, at that time, like how you set that up, Jaron, the time period, thinking about that, like civil rights movement, all those things. But then you slowly get introduced to Sulu as well. And, it's predominantly a white cast. Like in a modern context, you think about that. But at that time, I feel like that was, they're making a statement. But as the episode started, it's like just business as usual. It is just business as usual. We're doing this mission. A problem shows up, and it's about how everybody is kind of dealing with that. But also, mostly, I because it was the pilot episode, like it's about the relationships between the crew members, which kind of makes you care about the crew. That's why it's not about like this big event, and you're like, I don't know, like a supernova or something. Like you think about the space aspect. No, it's about the crew, and it's about their relationships and how they deal with the problem. It makes you aware of the human
I think you see that a great example of that very early on in the episode when Uhura is talking to Spock, and the weirdest thing is not that there's a woman on the bridge or something like it was in the original pilot. The weirdest thing isn't that there's a black person on the bridge or something like. The weirdest thing is that he's an alien that isn't feeling. Like other than that, this is like a very routine, like business as usual, everyday mission that we go on.
Which makes him so endearing too. It makes him like, oh, this guy doesn't understand emotion. Like
he's very cold, but he is also very endearing. It's an interesting little dichotomy he has.
Yeah, it's a chemistry.
It does a great job of showing how much humanity has evolved beyond all that stuff.
And those costumes, though, like you mentioned the colors before, but like the high boots, like the women's like awfully short-cut dresses, like they were. I mean,
and then at the exact same time, the mini skirts.
We should probably mention the mini skirts. So this is the first time we see the ultra high mini skirts that leave basically nothing to the man. They're basically wearing. So the female crew members are wearing essentially long shirts with no bottoms. But it's a mini skirt.
Which would be fine.
It leaves nothing in imagination.
If it was leggings, it'd be fine, but it's like pantyhose.
Yeah, it's right? Dark tinted pantyhose. Yeah. Like apparently that's the style in 2022, like 54. What the year is? 22, 54.
Oh my God, it's like just a parade of legs.
Yeah, everywhere you look, legs and high boots and leather.
And that's something I kind of wrote down in my notes. I'm like, I mean, that was the culture back then, man. We're living this moment where it's Me Too. It's like women have been taken advantage of. I mean, and I think these guys were ahead of their time, but that stuff was still, not to detriment to the whole thing that Star Trek is, but you can kind of see it. There's this kind of male, like, and when you watch the episode, you can see men kind of like, oh, there goes, and it's kind of
there's the scene with the guys
right now. Like it's kind of like okay.
There's the scene with the three guys just leering after Yeoman Rand. Right. Yeah. Well, wouldn't you like to have her as your personal yeoman? Yes. There's definitely like a little bit of a Mad Men vibe about the Enterprise.
Totally Mad Men.
The secretaries all wearing all in red.
Yes.
And with these, like, Uhura's hairdo, Yeoman Rand, her hairdo, her beehive hairdo.
Beehives left and right.
And just these kind of, they're both very kind of, I mean, they're both great, like, they're both great and fine characters, but they also are definitely much played up as the sex symbols of the show.
As Jane Kirk is, too. But, dude is a handsome dude. When you see him, like, I was just watching a clip of him, and, like, I'd go gay for Kirk.
Oh, yeah?
Gay.
Oh, yeah.
You let Shatner hit it?
And he knew it, too. That's the disgusting thing. He's known all his life. He's a beautiful man who has this presence.
Certainly like season 1.
He sells the whole idea.
Yeah. And a little bit of season 2. Like he has a kind of a Chubbs period, and then he goes back to super fit and handsome, and then he goes full season 3 Kirk.
Yeah, and we're getting canceled. My God.
Oh my God! Look at those little meat pies they gave us for lunch. I'm supposed to be shirtless this episode. God damn it!
But then we're also getting lines. They do show the men as being beautiful, but we're also still getting lines about the crew member at the beginning who, like, he sees the creature, the salt vampire, as like this beautiful woman, and he's just like, "Oh, madam, yeah." It's the damnedest thing. You look like this woman I left on Wrigley's Pleasure Planet. Just
Wrigley's Pleasure Planet. I want to go to Wrigley's Pleasure Planet. You don't double your flavor, double your fun. Oh guys.
You don't hear
Wrigley's Pleasure Mint.
You don't hear lines like that about the men.
Not at all. Yeah, the women don't get their dirty talk.
It's true.
No.
Which is an injustice.
But that being said, yeah, Uhura's great.
Yeah,
I think she's great. Like that scene she has with Spock, she has so much presence. I think
they fleshed her out as a character. Like they get
you get a sense. No, you get a sense.
I'm not gonna have you play this stereotype. I feel like she's the communications officer on the Starship Enterprise, and she likes this alien, and it's like it has this totally ahead of its time, man. Yeah. Totally ahead of its time.
compared to like Lost in Space or like Daniel Boone, which
It's
would
all
come on right
whitewashed,
before
man.
this.
You
Just
can talk
all white
about that.
people.
Compared to
Yeah.
all the whitewash shows there are today, right?
Yeah.
Today,
Yes.
even today.
We still struggle with it.
Yeah, we also get George Takei as Mr. Sulu.
Right.
He's great as well. I think he has a really good presence. Like, he has a very commanding voice, and just he has a very like youthful, like, you know, because we had earlier like Lieutenant bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, you know, white dude, but Sulu feels much more of like, he does have that youthful go-get-him energy, but he is very professional, very capable the little we see him.
And very understanding, too.
And then we also see him as having like interests, like botany or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, his quarters are sick. Yeah, and understanding, I say, because like when the salt vampire just walks into his quarters while he's having dinner or whatever, and he just looks at him all weird, and he's like, "Green, how are you?" You know, doesn't flip out. He's just very calm, very collected.
Yeah, I think generally everyone comes off, you know, even though there is the kind of Mad Men element with like the women, there is also that other yeoman that's serving Kirk dinner on the bridge, and she's got the tray holding it for him and everything. But I will say everyone does come across as being, they don't play Yeoman Rand or Lieutenant Uhura as being like ditzy secretaries. They both come across as being very competent, very professional. There's not a lot of distinction between the men and women as being like professionals all trying to figure everything out together. Like that thing, and that comes across really well. There's a good sense of camaraderie and familiarity with the crew, I think, in this episode, certainly compared to the last two.
Totally.
I think, yeah, what you were saying before, I think you have to view it through the 1960s lens. Like, I mean, that's how they understood the world. There was this rampant kind of thing in the movie industry, and Gene Roddenberry and these guys had this idea to like, no, I mean, I don't know. You have to give and take a little bit. Like, they have shots of men just kind of like oogling women, but he's writing out a whole plot line for a woman, an African American woman. Yeah,
It's not perfect, but they are trying, and they're doing a good job in certain places. They're falling short in others, but like, yes, very progressive, especially for the time.
ahead of its time.
Yeah, how do we think this works now?
You know, I think if you were to see this episode revamped on Discovery or something, it would absolutely play. Yeah, same story, better graphics, you know, new characters and whatever. But yeah, it's just a good story, good storytelling. The script is solid. I think there would obviously be some differences in how it's shot and how the characters are portrayed, especially the women. But
Yeah.
I think it holds up. This is a good episode of television.
I think for me, I think where this works best is like, if you just, because this is probably like, one of the first episodes people are going to watch if they're watching it on like Paramount Plus or Discovery. I think the thing that I think that the network executives are right about is definitely like how it sets up the characters, how it kind of sets up their people out on a ship, doing out there on, like, it kind of sets up just kind of like, it feels like just another adventure for the crew, but in a way that sets everything up. It kind of gives you a sense like, okay, I have some idea of who these people are and what I can kind of expect going forward. And then like, okay, so they solved what was going on here, and we're going to move on to some other world and see what happens there next week. And it sets up everyone's job and kind of like a little bit of like how life on the ship works and like just a general sense of what their mission is. It's a monster movie, and like, okay, and I think it works fine enough of that. The one thing I wish this had, I think the first two episodes had a better like thematic cohesion or something they were speaking to thematically. Because in the end, I'm like, it does feel like it sets everything up. It is just kind of a monster movie. They do kind of a little bit address this idea of this is the last of its kind.
Right, a little bit they touch on that.
And they make a reference to like at the very end, like, because spoiler alert, they kill it, and because it ends up killing all these crew members, and Kirk is just very like, people are dying, I have to stop this now. Professor Crater, the archaeologist on the planet, he's like, but it's a living sentient thing, It's like, I'm not going to help you hunt it down, aside from like my loneliness problems, like, and that it's my friend now, like, but it's also the last of its kind. I'm not going to help you kill it.
It touches on that too, and it says it needs love as much as it needs salt.
Yeah.
Like it's been as lonely as it is hungry.
No one's willing to give it any kind of benefit of the doubt. Like they don't even try to like communicate with it really, or like even stun it. It just becomes, we have to kill this thing.
Which is what happens when you come out of military operation in a hostile manner.
Yeah. Kirk comes across as being very military. My men are dying. It doesn't matter what this thing is. I have to just destroy it now because too many people have died, and nothing can justify any more deaths. But at the end, he does have this kind of, I don't know, like wistful line of like, where Spock comes up, it's like, problem, Captain, and Kirk is just like, I was thinking about the buffalo, Mr. Spock, and it's like, you just killed the buffalo, Captain Kirk. You do realize that. That's like the one thing. That's my biggest criticism is like, I think Star Trek does tackle this kind of thing again in the future, and better in the sense of whatever this creature or monster it is, they learn real quickly that it's not just a creature or a monster. And we don't quite get that here. It ends up just being something to kill. And I think originally, like, the original writers did have that the moral dilemma of killing this was going to be a bigger part of it, like the buffalo analogy. But then Gene Roddenberry did come in and toned all that down.
Gotcha.
And made it more functional. It's like, no, let's just make it about getting the thing. And then there was also more emotional drama with McCoy and, like, the love interest. That also gets toned. It's still there, but, like, all those elements are still there, but severely toned down. It's not really what the episode is about. Yeah. That would be my biggest, like, if we were doing this episode now, if like Discovery were doing this or Strange New Worlds were doing this, I think there'd be much more an emphasis of like, this is not just a monster. This is something.
We're talking about how we killed off the buffalo or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Right. But it kind of makes sense that they focus more on McCoy and that love story because he is a new character.
Yeah.
And he is going to be one of the leads.
And you have to have that emotional connection. And I think Kirk says it in his, again, I go back to his first captain's log. It's like McCoy has this history with one of the archaeologists on the planet. And again, it kind of goes back to the relationships of all these people. Like, and that what you expressed just now, Jaron and Aaron, it's like, it's not, I mean, yeah, there are these things that they're investigating, but it's ultimately about like the dynamicism between the crew members and each of who they are. Like Spock being, I love, Spock is such a crucible or like this like idea, this like spontaneity where like, it's like you take an idea of a creature that cannot empathize or like emotion is kind of shunned upon. And so it makes them kind of endearing because humans are about emotion, I think. And to have that idea, and I mean, like it works theatrically. And
it does because it's hard to conceptualize from the perspective of a creature that does feel,
right.
It's hard to see like how that's possible.
Right.
So and you see that struggle with them.
And Uhuru is the first person to go kind of like, that's like your first interaction other than I think when they show Captain Kirk's log and they show like the shot of the Enterprise, but then they show Spock sitting in the captain's chair and he has these pointy ears. I also think it's like, that's TV man too. It's like, oh, what's this thing? But you're just hearing this voiceover of the idea of everything, and then it like you like that's all the exposition you get. Ultimately, it's like there's an alien commanding a ship. The humans are down on the planet investigating the shit. Like they got to figure this out. Like, and then you see Kirk, and it's like, oh yeah, because Kirk is this like he's this marshal. He's Wyatt Earp or some shit like that. Like he's like, you know what I mean? And Bones, I don't know. There's this. They were onto something. I think the producers. There's a reason why they.
I think that's the thing.
Chose this as their first episode. Gene Roddenberry had this idea. There was these ultimate ideas, and like I don't know.
I think you're. This does show you this, like, there is something here to, like, oh, okay.
Yes.
I think that's the best thing about this. It's like there is something here, and these characters are interesting. The situation is interesting, and you're wondering, like, oh, so what other stuff might they run into? They don't throw anything big at you, and I guess I can understand that. I don't know what I would have picked other than this. Like, I can't say I have a better idea how to start the show.
Right. I have like a vague idea of what the rest of the first season looks like anyway. I have to go back and watch it again, but like I'd say this is a solid pilot. It really is. The performances are just sharp. Like, even if they didn't think it was their best episode of the time, it's they all brought their A game for it anyway.
Yeah, Shatner's great, I think. He's very serious and on point. He does come across a bit as a bully, but DeForest Kelley as Bones is also really good. And all the supporting players, I think everyone comes across really well in this.
Very fleshed out.
Yeah.
As well. It's the closest thing to a final draft of all 3 episodes we watched so far.
Right. You can see almost like I would feel like the arc is we have completed this arc of them realizing the show is about the characters. Like the first episode is very much about like the vision, but like there was not a lot of character work in that one.
Yeah.
And then the second one was definitely like, okay, like it was this kind of blending of the two, this big idea, but then there was this personal stake for Kirk. This one very much fleshes out everyone as a whole crew with everyone has their own perspective on things. Everyone has a different point of view they're coming from. Everyone has their own agenda. McCoy is looking at this differently than Kirk is. Kirk is looking at this differently than Spock is. Spock is looking at this differently than Sulu is. All that comes across much stronger. There is like a patchwork, a tapestry of people coming together.
Different strong perspectives. Someone said that some of the best stories like make you feel like you're dropping in the middle of it, right?
In media res.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think this episode does that beautifully. Like we talked about, it just feels like they're on a mission. You dive right in. You see a shot of the ship over the planet, and then you go.
Got it.
Right away with the away team, and you're away. Mm-hmm. And then everything that follows is all that awesome character development, all that awesome sci-fi.
When they beam down, they immediately set it up as like, we are investigating these people, but the wife of the archaeologist is that one woman in Dr. McCoy's life. You know, it's like, oh, okay. There's something, I don't think you see that in the first 2.
No.
But right away it sets up personal stakes as well as what the basic scenario is.
Right. Especially that second episode takes so long to establish exactly what's actually going on.
Yeah, what it's going to be about. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I should point out, though, like I said, I don't know if I'd come up with a better episode than this. Like, maybe there are better are there better episodes? Yes. But, it's like, maybe you don't need something, like, amazing, like, like, something that's going to blow your mind to start it off. Just to give you, like, wading. This kind of feels like a bit wading into the shallow end, but it gives you a good sense real quick. I'm like, I kind of know what I'm in for now. And then let's see where it goes. They have nowhere to go but like up in the sense like they can build off of this.
If it was a good song that just got released, it would be the catchy chorus, right? Like it's the thing that gets you hooked and then you want to listen to more of it again and again. That's this episode.
Though I probably should point out that the reviews to this at the time were mixed to negative. Mixed to negative.
Fucking critics.
I think one of the critics called it pretty dreary. Nothing to see here. I'm like, I don't know about that. I mean, clearly there was some audience for it initially. It is kind of interesting. I feel like not the best episode they've ever done, but like to call it just a dreary mess. I'm like, I don't know about that.
It's very colorful.
Yeah,
but that's kind of like a lot of science fiction. It's very dark and mysterious and dreary sometimes. So, and I'm here for it. I love it.
I think my guess is people were like, this isn't Lost in Space. Like, that's fun. Like, this is so serious. And
where's
like,
the robot
people are
that
dying.
makes jokes?
And like, oh no, there's like stakes. Who can have that in a show? Like,
what is it about that? What do you think that is? Is it space? Is it the Apollo program? And is it like us venturing towards the stars?
I think so.
What do you think it is? Sputnik?
I think Kirk is definitely a mix of Buck Rogers and John F. Kennedy. with maybe a little bit of like Hamlet and Horatio Hornblower mixed in there. But I think like this kind of Buck Rogers, like Flash Gordon kind of type character, the man of action, mixed with like John F. Kennedy, like just this, but like youthful optimism and energy. We are going to go to the moon at the end of this decade. And Captain Kirk is very much, I don't know what it is, but we're going to stop it.
Because it is hard.
Because it is hard. I think that I don't think the show gets made without the space program.
No way.
That's a big thing for sure.
Sputnik really kicked it all off. It did. You see that influence everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things. It's like the nuclear bomb or whatever. It forever changed the course of everything that came after. You know, like holy shit, we just threw something into space.
This definitely feels like a burst of imagination, just like people not really understanding what that, like, well, we're going to the moon, I guess, but then what? You know, and this is like the first real, like, yeah, what is that? It looks like we're going in that direction. How would this actually look like? I think that's another thing. I mean, clearly it's dated, but also there are things about it that still make it watchable just because, like, oh, you see what they're envisioning is not half bad, you know, for like how this might look in the future.
You see a lot of tech, like the goofy earbuds that we use today. You see tablets, you see flat screen TVs, like so many things that
like
they
the
predicted.
LED, yeah.
So true.
Very apparent. I think this is the first appearance of the multicolored food cubes.
Oh yeah, then like the future stuff. The future food. Yeah, I do like that. Like that's part of the little details that make it work. Like little phrases people use, like why don't you go chase an asteroid rather than like go climb a tree, and then like future food, future. Yeah, it just they you can tell they're trying to put in details to make you believe. Oh, we're in the future.
Mm-hmm. I mean, those food cubes look like poke.
They do.
Yeah,
It's like poke. It's future poke. And I love poke.
It's just like lime green colored salmon. That's all it is.
With vegetable cubes.
Yeah, with
Yams.
like space celery next to it. Yeah, what Yeoman Rand eats before delivering it to Sulu.
And then we have
I guess if that's her food tax, maybe they discussed that beforehand. She's like, I'm gonna nibble on this on the way down.
I have to say something about that. We were just watching the scene.
Oh, wait, what scene?
Maybe they fucking
Seymour. No, Seymour the hand plant.
Oh, yeah,
This first episode.
Beauregard, like, yeah.
Love me, I'll pet. I'm just gonna.
I'm
sorry. I'm gonna call out the 1960s kitschiness.
The not hand.
even his garden, like I don't know. We were talking about how the
But it's part of the planet too. It's
some life form on some planet. It's Beauregard. It's not a hand. It's a living plant that screams.
How close are you with this hand plant, sweetie? I mean, she eats his food. Maybe that's a sign that they're, you know.
Oh yeah, maybe they're close.
They're intimate.
Oh yeah,
Intimate.
Any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
Oh, Nichelle Nichols, we're gonna miss you.
Yeah, that was probably the most interesting thing. Like, I mean, not intended, but as we're watching this show, you can't help but notice, like, or in the back of your head, like, oh, she's not with us anymore.
Yeah.
She has a few good moments in this, though. Very striking woman. She definitely gives a lot of presence in every scene she's in. Not just because she's like a beautiful woman, she's incredibly beautiful. But just her whole demeanor, how she acts. She's just you can't keep her eyes off her, and she just has this way of just like affecting you with just even just like hailing frequencies open. Very just like, oh wow.
It's that X factor that you look for in like all top performers, you know, that make it to TV and Hollywood and whatever. They just have that twinkle in their eye or whatever. Yeah, that gravitas, the magnetism. She's got it all. Classy lady.
Yeah, it's too bad there's not really like a lot of like Uhura-centric episodes. I think maybe the closest thing we get is there's an episode of the animated series where she gets to take command for the first time, but that might be it. I mean, that's not even really about her either. She just ends up taking command and saving the day, which is great.
She ends up saving the day, like, in multiple things, though, too. Again, I think of Star Trek V, where, I mean...
Oh, yes.
She's the key distraction in their ploy, yeah.
Hello, boys. I've always wanted to have a captive audience.
Tribal drums intensify.
It was an awakening for me as a young adolescent man watching Star Trek, but whatever that is. But Also, I mean, I think about Star Trek, the motion picture 3 too, where like she talks to that ensign who's like, I want to be part of the action. He's like, be careful what you wish for. You just may get it.
Yeah. Oh, she's so
What
good.
a presence.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Just kind of stole just stole your heart and your eyes and everything away for you for a little bit. It's like, she's Lieutenant Uhura, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Side note, I do think the actress, I don't remember all the people in Strange New Worlds. I don't know all the actors' names yet, but I think the actress playing Cadet Uhura, and that is great.
Oh, doing a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the actors in that show playing new versions of old characters. That's the right thing.
Oh, they could do a good job of fleshing her out in a way you've never seen before, but she also feels like young Uhura, like, and you can totally see her like, you're going to be like Nichelle Nichols on, the bridge of the Enterprise in a few years.
But Ethan Peck also playing Spock, doing a phenomenal job. I think he's the best iteration of Spock we've seen since
Nimoy.
Yeah.
in the new iterations.
Oh yeah.
Strange New World.
Yeah.
Have you seen any of
yeah.
that? Have you seen
Nope,
any of that yet?
I haven't yet. I need to. Prodigy. I've been watching Prodigy.
Prodigy. Yeah, it's definitely worth checking out.
I've heard it's awesome. And I gotta catch up on Discovery.
There's a few characters we'll get to see in our list, like Nurse Chapel.
Yeah.
We'll get to see her in our little first batch. We will also, in our little first batch of episodes, see Dr. Mbenga.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, he shows up in our first little batch of episodes.
It'll be fun to compare OG Nurse Chapel to Strange New Worlds Nurse Chapel.
I like Chapel a lot, too, in the new show.
Oh, yeah.
And I like Mbenga a lot, too. All right, that'll probably wrap it up for the Man Trap. We hope you enjoyed the episode more than the critics did. And we hope you liked listening to us old silly college friends talk about it. Next episode, we're going to be continuing our journey into classic Trek. We are going to be watching probably the first episode that's considered to be an all-time great by most of the fandom. It's also the first episode with the first real recurring villain, the Romulans. We're going to be watching Balance of Terror, also an early first season episode. And we will be bringing on a new special guest to talk about that one. So stay tuned for that. Tyson, thank you much for coming on.
Thank you.
Sure appreciate you, bud.
Oh, thank you guys for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
What a fucking beauty. Look at this guy.
Hey,
Yeah.
live long and prosper, guys.
We're all handsome men.
Peace and long
Tyson's
life.
very
Yes.
handsome man. We should all go do space camp.
Oh, man.
And if
will
any of you
do
are
it,
listening
man.
to this, please hit us up about space camp. Space camp's great.
Go do it. Just look it up on Google. Go do it.
Come to Utah and do space.
Look it
camp.
up on Google and then make sure to send an email of it to yourself so you remember.
You will appreciate it.
All right. Until then, I'm Jaron.
I'm Aaron.
I'm Tyson.
We will see you next time. Next time we decide to catch a Star Trek story.
Yeah.
See you then. Thanks for listening. If you'd like to share your own Star Trek story or give us a hot take on the episode we just watched, you can join the conversation by visiting our Discord server. You can find us by clicking on the link in the show description.